say something that might sting just a little. Most follow up doesn't fail because people aren't interested. It fails because the follow up is about you and not the prospect, your timing, your offer, your urgency. And the moment follow up becomes about relieving your discomfort instead of supporting their decision, you hit the response wall. Silence isn't rejection. Silence is usually confusion, avoidance, or low emotional urgency. Today, I'm going to walk through the follow-up decision tree, a simple way to match your follow-ups to where someone actually is in their decision process so your messages get responses, move decisions forward, and never feel pushy. And I'm coming to you hot after one of my horseback riding rides. So you've got me in my cowgirl hat and my jacket, and I am so happy and a little bit sunburned from spending a lot of time outside today. Independence isn't just about where you go. It's about how well you live when you get there. That's why I am genuinely excited about Indie Stove, because it completely changes what outdoor and off-grid cooking looks like. Indie Stove is an ultra-portable, collapsible stove that fits basically anywhere, but performs like a real kitchen tool. It heats up in minutes, holds up in wind, rain, and rugged terrain, and works with multiple fuel sources, propane, butane, or wood pellets. So you're never limited by where you are and what's available. But here's where it gets fun. This isn't just about boiling water. With Indie Stove's modular accessories, you can actually cook. The workspace stack gives you sturdy side sleeves, so your cookware, ingredients, and tools are right there when you need them most. No balancing acts, no chaos. The skewer stack lets you grill kebabs, vegetables, or skewered meals evenly with non-sag skewers designed for real heat control. And yes, people are baking chocolate chip cookies off the grid. Fresh cookies in the middle of nowhere. That is not survival, that's luxury. Indie Stove is built for people who want freedom without giving up quality. Real meals, real control, real independence. Whether you're camping, overlanding, prepping for emergencies, or just choosing a life that isn't tied to outlets and crowded kitchens. And because you're a Revenue Rascals listener, you get something extra. Use code Revenue Rascals at checkout and you'll receive a free workspace stack with your purchase of a stove, valued at $120. That's Revenue Rascals at indiestove.com. Because independence should taste incredible. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about a role of a lot of high performers feel pulled towards, even if they haven't had language for it yet. Today, I want to talk about why most people never step into it intentionally. It's not because they're not qualified. It's not because they lack experience. It's because no one ever shows them the path. Most people who end up in senior revenue roles got there one of two ways: by accident or frankly by exhaustion. They take on more responsibility without more authority. They fix bigger problems without a bigger seat at the table. They become indispensable and invisible at the same exact time. And eventually something breaks. Either they burn out, or they leave, or they decide to go out on their own and recreate the same ceiling in a different form. And well, if you're a sales coach, a marketing expert, a GTM expert, a consultant, a freelancer that is just feeling the burning inside, this is for you. Here's the truth I wish someone had told me earlier. The fractional CRO role is like the best thing in the world. And it may not be the internal promotion you're looking for, but it is a positioning decision for lifestyle, wealth, and impact. It's not about being just better at sales. It's about being trusted to own outcomes of the entire revenue cycle. super important. It's about knowing how to see the entire revenue system, name what's actually broken, step into rooms where decisions are made, and become compensated accordingly for the responsibility that you are carrying. And yet, almost no one teaches this. Not how to step into the role, not how to position yourself for it, not how to earn trust quickly at that level. So on February 17th, I'm releasing a special episode. And in that episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly what the fractional CRO role is and what it does, how you charge, how you find the people, all things. I've been doing it for a really long time, and I want to share it with everyone who is listening who thinks they're qualified to do it. Because the deal is the demand is absolutely exploding right now. And I want you to get in on the game. I can't help everybody. I need people to learn how to do this too, so that you can save and scale businesses. I'm going to give you the exact framework I use to step into these roles with clarity and authority. And this is not a hype episode, and I hope you know that about me by now. It's a clarity episode with an exact step-by-step process to be successful. So if you're feeling the pull, that sense that you're ready for more influence, more leverage, and more impact, this episode's going to rock your world and give you the language for exactly what you need to do. Make sure you're following the show and sharing it with friends who need this too, so that you do not miss it. Because once you see the path, you're never going to unsee it. It's time for Rascal Rant. Unfiltered truth, straight talk, no fluff. Here's the real problem with follow-up. People treat it like it's a reminder instead of leadership towards a decision. They quote unquote check in, right? Bump this up. They circle back. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of this, it's completely obnoxious. It makes me never want to talk to the person again. Even if the offer was amazing, I'm like, this is desperate. This is weird. It doesn't feel about me. It's like this person's just trying to hit their quota or their number or get their commission. And it feels absolutely gross. And people just do not respond to it. I actually automatically delete within 3 seconds if the first line is check it in, bump this up, circle back. Michelle, did you get this? The worst offenders are on LinkedIn. Holy moly. Who is ever teaching that outbound strategy? Please stop. No one asked to be sold to. You need permission first. And there is no permission first on LinkedIn, and it drives me absolutely bananas. But to each their own. Some people just play the volume game where they're just atrocious in their follow-up, but they send so many that eventually somebody responds. If that's your brand, it's cool, but that's absolutely not what I teach and what I will never, ever, ever support. So all of this language quietly says, I don't know how to lead this moment. And the funny thing about sales, well, I don't know if it's funny or not, but it's true, is that it is a true representation of your leadership skills. And if you do not have great leadership skills, you're a horrendous seller. And I will just say it right now. And perhaps you're too junior to have leadership skills, but they can be learned when you absolutely dedicate time to it right now. And I'm headed out of town this upcoming week to head to Florida. And I am so grateful to be training this team of 40 in the life science industry. And they've never had sales training before. And so I was one of the first sales trainers to come in. And my heart is overflowing with joy, because as soon as I unlocked what I'm about to teach you today, their eyeballs were just like, whoa, we've been missing this. How did we never do this before? This is magical. It's amazing. This is so much easier. And I don't get ghosted anymore. And it's this beautiful thing. The deal is that so many people care so much about themselves and not other people that they're selfish in their decisions, they're selfish in their follow-up, they're selfish in their sales cycle. And quite frankly, this lesson of life right now that I am teaching you will help you repair your relationships and also maintain an amazing brand for your business. Okay, so this is the deal. Strong follow-up does 3 things. It makes the message about the prospect And it reinforces why solving the problem truly matters. And lastly, which is so important, is that it creates momentum towards a clear next step. I refer to them as micro commitments. And if you look at like a pipeline setup, right? So you have all of these stages in the pipeline, and each stage is really important. But micro commitments often reflect the stages of the pipeline, which are really important. So, for example, if you have a sales call and they need to go for budget approval. Okay, great. So you better know when that budget approval process happens, the timing, and your follow-up call should have been booked before you got off the discovery call if that person was really serious about what? Moving it forward and getting it through budget. If people push back on micro commitments, if they're unwilling to commit to the next stage, I really challenge you to go back to my Acknowledge, Validate, Peel, my AVP episode, to talk about how you actually peel back the layers to understand if somebody's truly ready to purchase from you or not. This is absolutely mission critical. And follow-up is absolutely not chasing. If you've ever been badgered by a sales rep, you know exactly how this feels. Right now, I'm going to tell you, postcard mania, you're badgering me. So when I was looking into methods of growing my podcast, I inquired with Podcast Mania, and they do all these local flyers, and it's a combination of digital marketing and in-print flyers. And after my conversation with my sales rep, I said, hey, I don't actually think this is a great match for what I'm doing because I want to expose my podcast. I want to get more listeners. I don't have a direct conversion. I'm not selling home services. So unless you can showcase a few things to me about podcasts, strategies that have been successful, I don't think this is a great call for me. So the sales rep could not provide that. It was clearly a bad use case. And I was really straightforward. I said, hey, I think this offer is great for local businesses, home services. And I listed a bunch of things, but it's just not for me. So you can just take me off your list and I'm done. Well, instead of listening to what I said, and it's super legitimate. So if I was to purchase from them, it would be a failure and that would look bad for them. They just keep passing me off to all of these different people to keep following up with me when I explicitly told them I'm uninterested and I am not a good match. So when you keep pushing past that point, when someone said, hey, you actually can't deliver for me, and I'm being really truthful, I'm just not a good ICP for you, but they're still jamming it down my throat. And quite frankly, it's like, what are you guys doing? I have literally told you this. It is bizarre. And if you were to sell to me, if I was to say yes, you're going to look bad because it's not going to work because it's a bad marketing strategy for what I'm trying to do. You need to be paying attention to this, and it is so mission critical. And it does not matter if you're a brand new company, scaling startup, or enterprise. When somebody literally says, I'm not your ICP, this isn't going to work, take them off your list, move on, because there is so much wasted seller energy on bad leads that it is ridiculous. There is someone from this company that is trying to close me, that is spending their time weekly, bi-weekly, all the time. Why? You're chasing the wrong person. You have a great service. Go chase the right people. It's so absolutely bananas to me. So please pay attention. And outside of that, the other biggest mistake that I see is using the same follow-up cadence, whether you're trying to get the meeting, closing after a sales call, or nurturing someone who just isn't ready yet. It's unbelievable to me how lazy sellers have gotten. And this is the deal. Is that automation is amazing and you should be using it. You should be leveraging AI. You should be doing all of these things. But at the end of the day, if you're just sending generic follow-up emails to people for something that's going to cost them 5, 6, 7, 8 figures, what are you doing? You are so lazy. Please stop. And if you're listening to this right now and saying, Michelle, I'm not lazy, I just don't know exactly what to do. Well, friend, you're in the right place, because if you listen to this and you take the feedback, you will never come off lazy again, and you'll be able to lock in that high performer seller follow-up. This is what differentiates a basic seller from an excellent seller, someone who misses quota to somebody who exceeds quota. And this is actually really important for my founder-led salespeople right now. I mean, I get you, right? You started a company, you're not ready to sign up for your first salesperson, all the things. This is so critical that you get this piece right because most deals happen in follow-up. If you're not following up, you're not closing deals. So listen up, friends. And this is where the decision tree comes in.
Welcome to Why This Works and Why It Doesn't. Real strategies, real results, no sugarcoating.
This is why most follow-up completely fails, like horribly fails, like fall on your face, fail. And I'm going to break it down right now. Most sellers follow up based on anxiety, their own anxiety, not actually what the prospect needs or what micro commitment you're at or stage that you're at. I mean, you've all seen it. And quite frankly, I've been guilty of it. I've done it before. Like in my junior years of selling, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to make quota. Or it's like my first year in my business. And I'm like, I need to sell, right? Like we all do this. So there's no shame in it. There's only shame if you listen to this episode and you don't change it. Fair? I think that's fair. Most people, they pitch when they should invite and they persuade when they should execute. They pressure when they should nurture. That's why follow-up feels awkward and gets annoyed. One of the things I want to talk about right now is, so I've been in digital entrepreneurship for nearly a decade at this point. I have had clients all over the entire globe, and I would say 80% of all my facilitation to clients is remote. It doesn't matter where they are. I'm trying to think of a continent I haven't trained on, and I don't think it's true. So the thing that I've noticed is that there's always these threats not to buy. Like your fast action bonus is going away. This discount's going away. We only have space for X amount of people, yada, yada, yada. And I think that worked for a little bit, maybe 2 years in the whole of the COVID debacle when people were just trying to find things to do, or maybe they were like psychologically compromised or whatever it can be. Now it's the most obnoxious, irritating thing, and I will absolutely never purchase from anybody. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she had inquired with a sales agency to hire like a team of sellers for her. So this is really popular in the world of online entrepreneurship, is outsource your sales team to my agency, or I'll place you, yada, yada, yada. And she had asked directly within 15 minutes of the 45-minute sales call, how much is this going to cost? I'm a type A decision maker. I need to know the price for us to continue the conversation. And the seller wouldn't give it to her. He was like, well, I'm not quite ready for there. We have some other things. So 50 minutes into the 45-minute call, they start talking about pricing. That is rude. It is disrespectful. And quite frankly, if this ever happens to you, drop off, do not purchase from them. Because what happens is the way that someone sells or is coached to sell by a founder is a reflection of how they're going to service your account. And if they won't respect you by offering pricing when you ask, you should back off. Okay. Now, if they don't ask, you continue on your conversation, you keep with your syntax and your script. But this whole thing is, I'm not going to tell you the price till the last 2 minutes of the call. And then I'm going to ask you to pay in full on a credit card and not let you off the call until you do it. That has stopped working. And also, several big online entrepreneurs who are using this strategy, well, class action lawsuits, they're coming and they're there, and I've seen them and they've started happening. So do not do this. It doesn't work, and it ruins the relationship before you're sold. The only time I purchased in a high pressure environment was when I was super junior to this online world, and I 100% regretted it the day after. And then everyone that I went through this program with also regretted it. They're also in a class action lawsuit. Just saying. So you need to pay attention to this. You need to be an ethical seller, and you need to be doing this right. And this is so freaking important. Follow-ups only feel awkward when you make it about yourself and not the other person. So here's what I call the follow-up decision tree. So before you send a message, I want you to ask one question, okay? Which decision moment am I in? There's really only 3 options, so good for you. It's easier to learn. Path 1 is trying to get the meeting. So if you haven't gotten the meeting, no problem. The stage is interest expressed, no meeting booked. The goal is to move from interest to conversation. So what you're leading is curiosity and relevance, not necessarily a sale. So some of the biggest mistakes I see in these outreach like emails is like you're just going straight to features and benefits without being curious or relevant. And when you skip that, you actually skip a critical part of the psychological movement of the decision-making process that all humans operate underneath. So you cannot skip these micro commitments, or you skip part of the sales process, which makes it really hard for people to commit to you, to follow through, and to do. So my recommendation for this cadence is communication every 3 days, depending on your channels. It's going to be custom. It could be text, call, email, etc. If you're running campaigns, retargeting, oh my gosh, chef's kiss, okay? And you'll give it up to like 3 to 6 attempts outside of your original message over this period of time. And if they don't respond, but they are like in your marketing world, they express interest, they're on your list, you're allowed to, do the things with them, then I really encourage that you put them in a long-term follow-up for whenever they're actually ready. This is really, really critical, because the thing is if somebody said, let's say, for example, I'm going to make something up right now. Somebody wanted to get somebody to help them with a TED Talk. Totally made that up. That's a good one, right? And this is the thing. Being ready to do a TED Talk requires a lot of things to be right in your business before you can commit to that. What are you going to talk about? What's the point of it? What's your main message? Is this a forever thing? Am I going to put all my stuff into this TED Talk? This is going to be my angle. Can I sell anything after? I mean, all of the decisions that go in somebody's head. It's not just like, do I want to do a TED Talk? Well, yeah, I want to do a TED Talk, but there's so many things that go into it, right? So if you don't do a long-term follow-up and you're like a TED Talk coach or whatever to place people, then what happens is when they're finally ready, they're going to forget about you. But you do not have the time, and it doesn't make any sense to be doing manual follow-up until they're ready. It could take a month, 6 months, 12 months. I don't even know how long. So drop them into a long-term follow-up and don't let them forget about your amazing services that you have, okay? And what really works in these types of messages is it's short messages, clear pain or pattern. It's just a low pressure ask. And you also have to remember that like that person, if you're doing cold outreach, for example, which is what I'm talking about right now, or even from an MQL that came through your paid media funnel and you're reaching out. The thing is that short messages work, like I had said, and clear pain or pattern, low pressure risk. But the thing is you have to remember is like they didn't yet raise their hand to have a meeting. So don't assume they're there. And the messages that come through to me that I see, like I'm getting cold marketed, right? Like, and I support it. I've actually purchased lots of things off of cold emails, so it works. But the thing is that I didn't ask for this. Like I didn't inquire. I didn't ask for a sales call. I may or may not be ready. So you have to respect the fact that that's where somebody's at, and don't be like, hey, Michelle, did you see my message? Or why aren't you booking a call? What's wrong with you? Like, come on, guys. Like basic human psychology. Please, for the love of baby Jesus, stop doing this, okay? So here are some examples. Are you still looking to reduce your selling time this quarter? Like I'm using examples like sales related. That's what I sell. I sell sales training. I sell sales consulting. I'm a fractional CRO. So I'm just giving some examples from there. So one of them would be, hey, are you still looking to reduce your selling time this quarter? Pretty powerful, right? Because velocity really matters to every single business. Are you still planning to launch your course next month? Also tied to the person I'm talking to and not myself. It's not like, hey, I'm trying to hit a certain number in my business this month. Do you think you're going to buy? What? Nobody does that. Okay, here we go. Are you still trying to grow your list by X date? Really specific, okay? I love this. There's no pitch, no explanation, just relevance to that business owner. And if there's no response after all of these attempts, it's not rejection. Well, I guess maybe it is, but most of the time it's timing, and that's it, and period. So you just have to keep the motion running throughout your business. And if you're a seller, like, don't hope for that one deal to be your saving grace. Like, you should have 3x in your pipe at all time that you need to hit your numbers. So just move on to the next person. Period. All right. So path 2 is the post-sales call follow-up. And this is closing, negotiation. And if you're selling enterprise, stakeholders, procurement, I mean, I can just really go on and on. And this is also where, well, most great opportunities go to die. Okay. And this is the deal, is that if you had a great discovery call, your first initial call, you better know a lot of things about that person, their business, their needs. If you don't, you messed up, friend. Okay. And you should be studying how to ask the right questions during a discovery call, because this is the thing, is that if you don't do it right on the call, your follow-up is going to absolutely fail. Period. Because if you go just through the motions of this call, you don't ask the right questions, you have no relevance to your follow-up, and you sound like a total loser, which I talked about in the beginning of this segment. Okay. Like, this is so incredibly critical. And I actually think that follow-up is one of my most passionate things I talk about in sales, because it is really where deals go to live or to die. So maybe I'm being a little tough love right now, but I think it's really, really important for everyone to hear. After a sales call, follow-up should never feel like starting over, but it does for you, doesn't it? It does for most people. What it should feel like is continuing an agreement. Woo! Love that line. The rule is all follow-up here is built on micro commitments after the call is completed. So micro commitments is just to commitment to the next communication, the next call, email, procurement, proposal, payment. All of these things are these little tiny commitments. And if we do not tie the sales cycle to these tiny little commitments, we're totally screwed as sellers. Because what happens is people get different priorities. They forget about it. They move on. They find other people. You have to control it. But the thing is that you're not controlling it in a way that it makes people feel grossed out. You're actually just leading the sales process. You're helping them make decisions. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And if you don't step up and do these things, your follow-up completely loses power, and it becomes like this allergic reaction on the receiving end of where people are just like, ew, what is she talking about? What is he talking about? This is weird. I never said that. Like, delete, block, all the things. You're never going to get that priority.
All right, Rascals, let me ask you this. How much money have you wasted replacing shoes, sneakers, or even bags that could have lasted way longer if only you'd been taken better care of them? I know for me, running from meetings to kids' activities, life gets messy fast. And that's why I always have Jason Mark Quick Wipes on hand. Jason Mark is trusted care to help you get the most out of what you wear. They're not just about cleaning. They're about protecting what you love while protecting the planet. Their wipes are now 100% plant-based and plastic-free, made from renewable lyocell fibers. They're individually wrapped so you can toss them in your bag, your car, or like me, your kids' backpacks. And it's not just convenience. Jason Mark is part of the worldwide B Corp movement, meeting the highest standards for social and environmental impact. They're EPA Safer Choice certified, so you know the formulas are safe for your family. And their products are USDA, bio-based, and certified biodegradable. That means no harmful junk like PFAS or VOCs. Just high-performance care that keeps your stuff looking fresh while doing right by the planet. Personally, as a busy mom and entrepreneur, Quick Wipes are my favorite. They've saved my sneakers from coffee spills, playground dust, you name it. One wipe and I'm ready to walk into my next meeting looking sharp. So here's the deal. Go to jasonmark.com and use promo code RevenueRascals at checkout for 25% off your order. One time per customer. Again, that's jasonmark.com, code RevenueRascals. And remember, this podcast is free thanks to sponsors like Jason Mark. I'm ungating sales strategies people pay me 6 figures for. So go support them, grab your Quick Wipes or your favorite product, and keep your kicks looking fresh.
So here's some examples of micro commitments post sales call. You'll review the proposal by Friday. What is your availability on Monday to reconnect? Here are some times I have. Which one works best for you? On a call, you'll always confirm if it's a budget related item. What is the budget? Where is the budget time? When does it get approved? So if it gets approved by Tuesday, you can set your next call, your next follow-up, your commitment. These are all things that are really important. And that agreement that you make with the prospect becomes your follow-up backbone, period. So why does this work? This is the deal, is that reference was agreed to. One thing, be direct and specific. If you are not direct and specific, you will lose at follow-up. You will not hit your numbers. You will not hit your goals. And it's really, really clear. And for the love of baby Jesus, please stop saying just checking in. It is literally like nails on a chalkboard for anyone who reads that email. All right, so here's some more examples. We said you'd review the proposal by Friday. How did that go? ? So let's say they had to have an internal meeting. You weren't able to get another call on the calendar. Like, this isn't bizarre for big decisions for enterprise sellers, but you just need to know how to go, right? When we spoke, you mentioned confirming budget this week. Were you able to do that? Also, really clear, specific back to the prospect. Anything you need from me to move this forward? Great. Perfect. This is not pressure. It is professional follow through, and it will be well received. All right. So path number 3 is not ready yet. And this is what I would call long-term follow-up. These are not dead leads. I mean, I will tell you right now, friends, I had somebody come work with me 3.5 years ago. She had great success. She was super happy, but life circumstances just changed for her. She made a pivot. She got out of that business. She got into something else. And she reached back out to me this past week and was like, hey, I'm ready to do another business and I need your help because you're my go-to-market specialist and you're the only person I want to work with. It was that easy. But the thing is she was long-term follow-up. Can you imagine if for 18 months I bothered her wondering what she was up to? That's really weird. No one's going to receive that well. So what is your long-term follow-up strategy? And it really depends on the type of business you are. For me, a lot of my social media posts, my podcast, all of these things, as long as my people are listening to this or watching it, that's a uncontrolled nurture strategy, for example, right? And what I mean by uncontrolled is that I can't control and force someone to watch my social media. I can just do my best I can on my algorithm. Can I control who listens to this episode? No, I can just do my best. A controlled environment would be you're on my email list. I'm sending you an email. It says delivered. It says opened, right? So there's a combination of all of this that you can do. But what I thought was pretty amazing is when this amazing woman that literally is like one of my favorite people I've ever worked with, when she came back, she was just like, hey, I opened up my Facebook and I saw you there with this note about everything that you're doing. And I was so relieved that my favorite person was still in business, able to help me, because there was just this huge fall off, post COVID, where all the fake people who had tried to start businesses on authority that wasn't real, they all disappeared because they couldn't hang because they actually weren't authority and they fell off the face of the earth. Well, I'm still here. Gotcha, boo. Right? So this was what she did. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So basically my social media content brought her back in. And if you go and look at all my socials, my reels, all these things, like it's moderate comments, it's moderate views. That's what I would classify it as. I don't think that it's like some kind of like viral situation where I'm everywhere. But the thing is it works really well for my business. And I know people are watching. And I know people will buy. And it's like also why people love sponsoring this podcast is people buy from me. It's amazing. And I also only bring products on that I love. This is what I'm talking about. So we're back to not ready yet, long-term follow-up. And like I said, they're not dead. They're just, you got there too early. It was bad timing, and that's okay. So the stage is that the interest exists, but the timing does not. And the goal is to stay relevant until timing shifts. And when you're doing this correctly, they feel trust and not urgency, and they will come back to you when they're ready. And the cadence here is that it is that controlled environment that I talked about. Every couple of weeks, they get an email. one of your marketing emails, one of your nurturing emails, and maybe once a quarter, it's actually directly at them and it's specific because you've put them in their pipeline for long-term follow-up. This works great. What works is insight, observation, like relevance, like you're not pushing anybody. Like if you just keep saying, hey, book a call. Hey, buy for me. Book a call. Buy for me. Hey, what happens is that you often turn a lot of people off because the timing just isn't there. So one of my favorite things that I did with a lot of my email marketing back in the day is I put like a 30-day snooze instead of like unsubscribing. Like, are you just not interested right now? Like, is this bad timing? No problem. Hit the 30-day snooze and I'll be back in your inbox in 30 days. So certain things like that make it this not a huge deal, but they don't unsubscribe and they still keep getting it in 30 days from there. So here's an example of this like long term. And this is like a personalized one, right? So thought of you when I saw this, okay, insert whatever it is. It reminded me of the challenge you mentioned around the pain point they have expressed to you in the past. Hope things are going well. And let me know if I can help you. Super soft, relevant, powerful. If people actually took the time to do this, oh my gosh, would you sell more? Like how heard would you feel? How special would you feel if you were on the receiving end of this? And this is how deals close months later without feeling forced or weird, or you're forcing it down their throat so hard, especially via email marketing, they just end up unsubscribing and they move on. So those are your 3 past friends. And guess what? Because I love you and because I want you to be super successful, you will be getting my free resource guide on exactly how to do this. And like I said, you go to revenuerascals.com. You sign up once for my vault. It's completely free. And every resource that I ever deliver on this podcast is going to be in there. So it's super easy to find. One-time sign up, no cost, just for you.
You're in the coaching corner where we stop talking and start taking action.
All right, so this is my question number 1, and this is a really good one. What if I didn't set a next step on the call and now it feels awkward? This happens. This happens even to the best people. You have the best of intentions. Something happens. It derails you. You forget to do it. So the best thing that you can do, and I hope you did this, is you took great notes or you had a recorder or something, and you can identify something super specific that will drive the next step in the sales cycle from reconnecting with that person. So what that means is name the gap directly, re-anchor to the value, and don't apologize for following up, and propose a really clean next step. So here's an example. We covered a lot on our call and didn't lock in a next step. Would it be helpful to reconnect for 15 minutes to decide on how you want to move forward for XYZW, blah, 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 blah. Whatever was specific to what they called you for originally. Okay? Super powerful and it's well received. Question number 2. How do I follow up without sounding annoying? Oh, another fantastic question. You're only going to be annoying if you only care about yourself. Let me say that again. You're only going to be annoying if you only care about yourself. Like I said in the beginning of the episode. Also, other things that bug people is vagueness. So let's not be vague. And clarity feels respectful, and reference everything you can that's specific, especially related to their time frame. If your follow-up could apply to anyone, it will be ignored by everyone. Question number 3. When do I stop following up? Well, it kind of depends on which of those 3 paths that you're in. You're trying to get the meeting, it's a follow-up post-sales call, or it's long-term, right? So it's very nuanced, but the good news is the resource that I am putting inside the vault will give you everything you need to make some decisions. But this is the deal. So stop when the cadence no longer matches the stage. Okay, that's number 1. So for example, you have done everything you can to book that follow-up call after an initial call and it's not working. What I like to say is, where do you want to go from here? That's a great follow-up to just your last anchor. And then if they don't respond to that, then usually what I say is, hey, like, no problem. You're already on my newsletter. I'll stay top of box. When you're interested, let me know. You also have to decide when it's like, okay, this is a waste of my time at this point. The timing is wrong. I'm going to move them into my long-term follow-up. The big thing about sellers or founders who are doing their sales, you have to know when a deal is just not there right now and you need to move on to the next one, or you are absolutely wasting your time. And silence is not necessarily a no, it's a neutral, which I find really frustrating. I'd rather someone just say no than not respond, but it usually means they're not quite ready to say yes or no to you. So typically something was missed during that discovery call where they're not sure, or perhaps something happened afterwards that you have no control over, which is timing, budget, priorities, etc. And this is the deal, is that you as a leader, you're not going to vanish. You're just going to reposition and move forward.
Let's bring it home. Rascal wrap-up time. Key takeaways and a resource to keep you winning.
So follow-up isn't one thing. It's an invitation. It's an execution step, or it's a relationship play. When you match follow-up with the decision moment, responses increase and sales feel clean and easy. And that is exactly why I've created the follow-up decision tree and cadence checklist you can download inside my vault to implement this immediately, because the fortune is always in the follow-up when it's led well. So head over to revenue-rascals.com, get into the vault, and let me help you with some follow-up gems. Till next time, stay rascal.
Thanks for listening to Revenue Rascals, where we turn bold ideas into predictable revenue and prove that breaking the rules can still build empires. If you love what you heard, do me a favor. Tap the links in the show notes to support our sponsors. They're the ones keeping this show free so I can keep ungating the six-figure strategies that help you scale faster, lead smarter, and take more freedom home with you. And hey, if you think you'd make an incredible guest or know someone who's built something worth studying, email me at hello@michelleterpster.com. And until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and stay just a little bit rascal.